All right, guys, good morning. So today what we're planning to do is introduction to Selenium and some of the things that I'm hoping to cover is how to build a project and in various different ways with the Chrome driver, integrate that and talk about what test packages are, where your work needs to be in, um, setting the properties for the Chrome driver and launching the Chrome driver. What are elements, I'm sorry, Chrome development tool, and what's DOM, node, tags, attributes, types of locators. You're going to learn all of that today. And once we covered all of that, you'll be ready to actually see complete, a small one, but complete test automation. Um, Explain how the JUnit report works, how it's pass and fail. We're gonna pass the test on purpose and fail it on purpose to see how uh, that looks like and how we can identify a failure and be able to fix it. And lastly, we'll talk about no such element exception and what that is. If you remember from exception handling class, if you have watched that video, it talked about what these exceptions are. If you have not done it, please do so ASAP because very important. You will have interview questions and you will see us using that concept. So with that, let me also show you that this class right here has a few videos on um, the history of Selenium. What are some of the automation tools out there? Selenium is not the only automation tool that's out there. There's a whole lot more. The biggest competitor is called uh, is developed by the HP, Hewlett Packard, and um, I'm just blacking out right now the name of it, but it's called QTP or Quick Test Professional, um, and that got changed to UFT. And but a lot of that details is in here. Really not much of an interview questions, but when you're gonna go um, in the job market, you're gonna see that some people in that job description might mention some of those things, like, "Hey, do you have experience with QTP or Selenium or some other ones that you're going to find in this video?" So watch this video. It's very helpful to be familiar with those because if you only know Selenium and you never even heard of two other test testing tools, it it's kind of, suspicious. Like, how come, you're in this field for so many years and you don't know that? So just read that. Also good to know how the Selenium came about, and there's a video for that. I don't want to take up your class time to do this because I want to do more hands-on. So that's why I have these videos for you. So watch those, take notes, and be able to answer some questions, see if they have any. These are very small videos, like 10 minutes maybe or less. You can even watch it on your phone when you have a break time. Also, this video right here features the components of Selenium. There are four different components of Selenium that you should know. Just kind of get a rough idea, more like an architect level, but it's good to know. So watch that as well. The notes are in here. We'll talk about these elements, DOM structure, go inside the HTML, which you have done, creating an HTML file. So we'll go deeper into it to see how these things work and how we're going to use Selenium to actually interact with these elements. And yeah, and then we will do a class practice of this. Where is it? Right here. We're going to create a test automation for the Tech Files website where we're going to validate logging in with our username, password, and sign in button, and then make sure the dashboard page gets displayed. The code for that is also posted here. And I have some interview questions, UFT, so QTP and UFT. That's the biggest competitor of Selenium, but you have to pay for it. This is not free. So watch that video. Make sure after watching these videos in my class, you are able to answer these questions. If you are, you're in good shape. Some shortcut keys, if you still don't know, Control Shift F will format, align all your text in Eclipse. And Control Shift, instead of F, if you just press O, it will also take off unnecessary imports, which I will show you another day. Control Alt down arrow will duplicate a row where the cursor is. So you're just gonna do a full copy of one line below. And Alt left, Alt right will navigate back and navigate forward, which I will show you inside the code later. And you have a homework right here. It's the same thing as what I'm going to be automating. This is a different site though. In this particular site, here are the URLs. This is the test case. This is not a Gherkin test case. It's just a classic regular test case, but I boil it down to very simpler steps. So you just automate these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 steps. The username is also given, password is given, and then you click on the submit button and make sure that you're able to log in. So it's kind of mimic what I will do in class as a homework for yourself. I don't require you to submit the homeworks anymore. And honestly, I don't have time to even go in and um, check your homework because I've been up like an hour, 2 hours today. And last night I was preparing for this class for another 2 hours. And then I'll be here after the class, maybe a couple of hours compressing the video, uploading. I am busy. And my family is like waiting for me when daddy's gonna come out of that room and do that. So there's no point in me looking at your code. Your code, your teacher is your Eclipse. So if you're able to do this, if you're able to validate, if your code is getting there, you're done. You don't need to turn this into me. If you are stuck, you text me that, hey, I'm stuck. And what I'll do is I will have a homework class. Now, the homework class is optional. So I'm not going to have a homework review class on Thursdays. But not until somebody says, hey, I need a little help here because I wasn't able to do this, or I got an error. Then I'm going to step in and do that. Also, every after class, like today, if we have time, and you're still around and you have questions about your homeworks, you can ask me then. So that's what we're going to do from now on. Please take responsibility of your own learning. This is not a grade school, and you are here motivated because you want a job and career. So um, I know I can motivate you, but don't expect somebody to motivate you there. Your life is a motivation for you to do this. So spend all the time you can on this. I know you're very busy. But if you don't practice, you're not going to get that confidence in the interview that's going to be coming up in not much time. We're probably about a month and a half away from being done. And you can immediately work with me on the resume, and then we can drop you in the market for real interviews. So, um, also, the other thing is, you're going to become on your own after this course is over, and in you it's just going to be you and me. We're not going to have a group class setting anymore, and it's just going to be you and me one-on-one coaching. So it really depends at this point on your own speed. So If you want to amp up things and you want to watch a few videos from the future classes and really jump on things, yes, I'll take you there as fast as you want to. But also, if you slow down and you know life hits you with a lot of things and you're unable to catch up, then you might go behind. So just letting you know that eventually, when this course ends, we're just gonna be on your individual base. I can get you in the market in 1 week, or if you're not confident and you have doubts, or you're slow, you're unable to meet with me and get work on your resume and get it finished and review by me and do the steps that I'm going to give you, which is going to be individual home assignments, then it's going to be slow for you. So yeah, I'm just telling you that so that just kind of get an idea of where you are. All right. So what I did is this morning I just uploaded these 4 dependencies on this installation page. Whenever I was copying this, I was getting weird line breaks, so I tried to update to see if I don't get any line breaks. But anyway, Raju just pointed out to me that there is a internal way of getting an archetype 1.1, which I used to use for my previous classes, and it's a little bit simpler. You don't need a whole lot of dependencies. Like right now, last time I showed you, we had 4 dependencies. That's a lot. So maybe we can do with 3 dependencies right here. Let's see how that works. It's going to be an experiment, may or may not work. So let's see. I am going to get out of all of this and delete this, or go to right click on this empty window, go to new project, Maven project, and just click next here. And under this all categories, we were typing Maven archetype dash quick start. We got this 1.1 version, but that's coming from a different group ID, GitHub something, and I wasn't sure if that would work or not. The only thing that I saw that's part of this Maven archetype is org.apache Maven archetype, this one, and that's 1.4. I wanted to see a 1.1, but if I unselect this all category to like internal category, then it shows up. So let's go that route and see how that works. There's that archetype 1.1. So you select that. In the past, that will be automatically selected. So select that one, hit the next. Here you have 2 options. You can either keep this one selected. If you do keep it selected, then when you finish it in the console, it's going to wait at the 33%, and you need to type in a Y for yes, continue, then it's going to finish. Otherwise, it doesn't. So it's best if you unselect this one and you don't have to go through that process. Really, I don't see any difference whatsoever. Anyway, I'm going to type in a artifact ID, which is going to be the project name. I'll just say sample project. Sample project. And I'm going to unselect that. But let's say I select it. You forgot to unselect it, so I'll select it. Finish it. Here's the console. And if you notice in this console, right here, it's waiting for us to type in a Y. Otherwise, this 33% will be stuck right here, which is the issue that we had first time when I was building this project. So I'll go put my cursor in here, type in the capital Y, lowercase y should work, but I didn't try that yet. And hit an enter, and then that's it. Now we have this build success, which you want to see, and you want to make sure that the project that you just created shows up on your project window. Any questions so far? In a way, simple. You keep doing it. Once you find the right way of doing it, and then you keep building that project over and over daily, it's gonna get very easy. Now open that up.
Uh,
Yeah,
I just have a question. Like,
sure.
the group ID name, is it always like the one you typed, or we can change?
You can always use the same group ID. You
Okay.
don't need to change it.
Okay.
I have one question.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Artifact ID is what needs to be unique. If you have duplicate artifact IDs, it's gonna complain. But you can have duplicate group ID because under the same group, let's say Bank of America is your group ID. Bank of America may have 5 different websites, web applications. One is called bankofamerica.com. The other could be like uh, Bank of America Finance.com. The other is like Bank of America Human Resources.com. So all of those other ones are going to be your group ID. Your artifact ID is going to be Bank of America Finance.com. Your artifact ID is going to be Bank of America Human Resources.com. But your group ID is just going to be Bank of America.
Stan, I have one question.
Yes.
Actually, when I tried to open a new project with the same group ID, and I opened some classes like test one, test two, test three, and I deleted all the classes and project, and I started again.
Mhm.
And when I tried to use test one, it says that test one is already existing by live story, so I cannot do test one. But I deleted it from the system and I started to try it open again by
Oh,
creating a new one.
yeah. When
So I
you
don't know
delete
what
it,
happens.
yeah, I
Yep.
know the answer to that. When you deleted the project, it's gonna pop up a window saying, "Do you want to delete everything from the project folder, from other things that's part of the project as well?" You have to click on a checkbox on that, meaning I want everything cleaned out. So if you maybe accidentally didn't click on that checkbox and then click OK, delete everything, in that case, it just deleted probably the project name from here,
Hmm.
and but in the back ends, you still have the data classes and things like that, and it's gonna complain about it. So the best thing is just even if you delete it and it's complaining, don't worry about it.
Hmm.
Just come up with a new name. Like, look at this. I have a sample project here. Now I have a simple project. So because I changed the name, it's not complaining. So
Oh, so it is better to avoid the previous one that I already deleted. Is it?
correct, correct, correct. Always come up with a new
But
name.
if but if I don't like to do this process and if I delete the project or the class and do it again with the same name because I deleted, so how can I delete it from the memory as well so that it cannot ask me again?
There is a way to do that. I don't want to take up the class time in showing you right now. I will show you in another day. Sounds good?
All right.
Yeah, really not needed at this moment, but I'll show you later as we go down the road. It's a little more technical and I might confuse a few people. So just bear with me. I will give you another day showing you where these projects are actually stored and you can manually delete whatever is left in there. Anyway, let's get back to this here. You got these 2 folders. One is called source main Java. The other is called source test Java. And inside these two folders, you got this package called page, and you got this package called test, and inside that you got this Google. Wait, excuse me. I think I'm in the wrong one. This is the one I created because that's the one I was working on before. So let me zoom in on this. So simple project was created before. This is the one I did right now. These come in that archetype selection that you don't really need. So you need to clean this whole thing up with the package and the class. Just make sure this folder is empty, but don't delete this folder. And then also delete this package with all that junky name. You don't need all that complicated name. Delete that and make sure you don't delete that folder though. Just delete this one and delete all of this right here. You got
Uh,
this.
but but in the project, it doesn't come the class app test Java.
What do you
It
mean?
just comes the package. When I open a new project and go to the search main Java and search test Java, it comes with the package only, not the class. So did I create the class or
No,
not?
no, you don't need this thing. You delete it. Um if it doesn't have a GST, then it's even
Hmm.
better. You don't have to delete it. But
Yeah,
if it hasn't,
I can't. Yep, I can't see the class, but I can see the package only.
so what's the big deal?
Uh, Actually, package in the search test Java folder, uh, search test Java, you got uh, content tech, com.tech was I cannot read, and within this package you got app test Java class, but I
Okay,
didn't get app test Java or something like that class, only the package
but
only.
Kisti, why is
Yes.
that why is that a problem for you right now?
Actually, it's not the problem, but I'm curious whether it comes with the package or not. That's I'm
No, you
wondering.
right now, and this is I want to stop right here and talk about this.
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't want to overkill things. Okay, right now, this is just a simple thing that I'm just asking you guys to clean it up and it's in there. But if you spend half an hour asking questions on something that's not important, you're gonna overkill things. Especially if you take that into your job, if you take this um, style of questioning into your workplace, they're gonna start walking away from you. Okay? I want you to focus on the main things here. And I want you to ask me questions that takes you far beyond. Like I like that question you asked me. Um, can you show me how do I delete everything, even if it's the project is deleted, but it's giving me an error? That's a good question. I want to work on that. Right now, I got a whole lot to teach you right here. If you're stuck on why you have that, I don't have it, but it's something we're going to delete it anyway. It really doesn't matter to spend like so many minutes on this. Does it make sense?
Yes, got it.
Okay. So so always think of that. This class is not just about content, but also when you get into my market classes, I am going to give you some serious truth about human psychology. Some things are going to sound super hard, but it's going to build you into a social intelligent being where people would be want to be around you. Okay. It really matters how we approach people, how we talk to people. and things. When we need to shut up and when we need to talk and when we need to ask questions, those really matter. So let's not overkill this right now. I think you got the point. The point I'm trying to make here is you clean these things up. Don't worry about it. Just delete everything. So I'm going to delete this project, delete this package here. Delete that package. And open up this POM file. You can bring this down here. The dependencies is where we need to work on. So I'm going to hit a couple of enters to show you where they are so we can visualize it better. Here's the dependency start. Here's the finish. Here is this JUnit dependency that's already there. Comes in the box. Now, if we go back to our class, I have this Selenium Java here, Selenium server, and JUnit right here. So just copy this whole thing. Let me see. I'm kind of experimenting right now. I am going to paste it in here because I should be able to do this. Excuse me. Delete all that. Paste it here. Looks pretty big and bulky. Let's see. Control A to select all. Control C, copy from here again. Just trying to make your life easy and paste it right here. I'm going to highlight this and then paste it. So what's going to happen is this will get deleted. And right on top of this, all three of those are going to get pasted. What I'm trying to look for is after I paste it, do I get the same line spacing? I don't. Look at this. All these lines like extra lines, but let's clean this up. Control Shift F will align everything. And I'm going to take off these extra lines from here. Be extra careful not to delete even a single symbol or you're going to get an error. But not to be afraid if you get an error, like let's say if I accidentally deleted this, you will get an X mark right here. And it will give you some sort of a hint of what might be going wrong right here about the scope and the tag right there. Take a look at it and then see if there was something that got accidentally deleted. After you fix it, Control S will save it and then you will get a proper feedback again to see if it's working. Control S. No, that's not doing it. There you go. I don't know what I deleted or not, so it's very finicky. Clean that up here. We got three things. I am not going to add that other one. We're going to see if it works or not. We know one project that we did last time worked, but this is possibly it might work with making it pretty simple. So let's see. All right. Now we got this POM set up. The next thing we need to do is right click on the project and go to run as Maven build. And over here, we want to type in clean install, and this will marinate everything and download whatever is needed and tell you if everything worked out well. So I'm going to hit run and look at the console here and see what they say. Yeah. So far so good. Build success. We don't need to worry about this warning. It's not a problem. So now that we got a build success, next is we're going to start writing code. For our code to work, we're going to need Chrome driver. So at this point, you can create a new folder called driver. all lowercase. There's that driver. And you look for your driver folder, drag and drop it on there. So I would go to this PC right here. And I think I saved it in the program files. So open up program files. Really doesn't matter where you saved it. It's your choice. Program files is a secure folder. So I have this driver folder. Make sure that your version of Chrome is the same version as the Chrome driver you downloaded. So I got the 1.9, which is the version I'm using. So I'm going to pick this up from here, drag it. Notice how this changes to a plus icon like that. That's a good thing. If it's like this, that means you can't drop it there. So if I drop it right on top of that folder, this folder, yeah, opens up with this pop-up asking me copy files. Yes, copy it. And now you will see this arrow show up here. Open this arrow, make sure that you have this Chrome driver uh, there. Okay. At this point, you can close this. You don't really need this POM file anymore. And now that you have your Chrome driver, you can start working on your code. All your code is going to stay in here for now. This is your home. This is where you write stuff. Later, we're going to expand this and put a few classes in this main folder. And then we will be calling methods within these two folders and basically stay there. Don't worry about these stuff right here. They are part of the system. I'll talk about the target directory later. You know what the driver is. These are your JRE system. All the Java codes are right here. All the Maven Selenium codes are right here that you're going to be calling and using. And you don't need to worry about this folder called SRC, but do not delete these. It will cause problems. So I go to test, and the only way you can see if your project is working is by actually writing that code and then see if it works. So first put a project in there, call it a package in there called test package. You can't have classes inside a folder. It has to be a Java package. Why? Because there is a little bit of a technicality there that uh, that one class communicates with another class, and then there's a protective situation where if you're in a different folder, different package, one package may or may not talk to another package based on if it's a public, private. Therefore, package is very important for you to put your classes. Java won't let you put your class in any folder. You have to have a package to have a Java class. It will create a default one for you if you don't give one, if you ever forget to. So now I'll right click on that, just like you did in Java classes, and go to a class, open up a Java class, give it a name. We'll just do the Google thing to just test it out again, see if this project works. So I'll call it Google test. You don't need public static void main anymore. You will fully understand why we stopped using that and use something called JUnit annotations. At this point, you're going to need a method. Since you did not use a main method, there's no method for you. So you're going to have to write this whole thing yourself. Public void, just write public void. It's not a static, a dynamic method. And give it a method name, open Google. Okay. So here, public void open Google. First thing you need to tell the system that system.setProperty that you're going to be using Google Chrome and Chrome driver to operate all these things. When you select this method, it needs two things from you. One, it's going to need this wording, WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. And in here, you're going to need the location where it is. If you were to use Firefox driver instead of writing Chrome, you would write Firefox driver like that, in case you're curious. In case in the interview they ask you, everything else will stay the same. Since we're using Chrome, I'm going to write Chrome right here. This is how you would have to parameterize this particular method. For my location, I would go to this driver, Chrome, right click on it, and go to properties all the way down on that menu, set properties. This gives you this. It tells you this path. Here's the path. Notice the very first part of it, what it says is sample project. That's just the project name. You really don't need to copy that. But you need to take where the driver folder is and where this thing is, including this / right here. So I would copy from here, from the / and till the rest. Take this, copy it, and paste it right in here. All right. After you paste it, you need to put a dot in here. That dot tells the Eclipse that, hey, wherever we are, if there's any other projects or folders before this, ignore that, but go find the entire project. Look for a driver folder, and inside a driver folder, you're going to find this. That's what gives it the property. Now you set that, and next thing you need to do is write these, instantiate the Chrome driver class. Because the Chrome driver class has all the things that the Chrome driver can do for you. You don't want to do it yourself. You don't want to write those codes yourself. You want somebody wrote the code already, do the work for you. Well, in that case, all of that is inside this Chrome driver class. But it's in the type of WebDriver. So you write this WebDriver exactly same way with the W capital and D capital, WebDriver. And then you give it any name you want. You can give your name if you want to. But in the industry, they just use all lowercase called driver. In my company, they use this word get driver. So depends whoever built the project for you. We're just gonna call it simple driver equals. I don't want to put a weird name in here and then you go see a driver in your company and you'll be like, oh, no, that's why I want to stay at standard. But again, you can control this one. New, and instead of WebDriver, yeah, you could do that, but because we want more specific of the Chrome driver, there's a new class called Chrome driver. And you give the power of the Chrome driver to this guy, reference variable driver. So what's happening? Well, all the code, all the non-static methods that's written inside the Chrome driver class you will be able to access them and use them with this guy named driver. With this word driver and putting a dot next to it will give you all the class list in a box open up like that. And then test automation is going to be piece of cake for you because it's going to do all the things for you. You just keep calling the methods to do the things for you. Okay? That's what you're learning. That's the main thing about Selenium. So now it's giving you a little bit of an error because it doesn't know what it is. You hover over and you import the Chrome driver, generally the very top one. Also click on it, hover over, And come on, there you go. Import WebDriver. Import those two classes. You will see these imports show up right here. Okay. What's next? Well, Java is not going to come here. Java only goes to main method. This is not a main method. This is just a regular method. So we want Java to come here. You may ask, well, why don't we just use the main method? Well, how many main methods can you have? You can only have one main method. But we're going to have like 100 of these methods. Each of these is a test case. Open Google is a test case. We're going to have another test case right here with another method. We're going to have another test case right here, another method. I can't have a main here and a main here. It's going to say, well, duplicate method found. That's going to give me an error. So with that main idea, with the main method, we're not going to be able to run our tests. Therefore, we had to come up with something else. And that something else is this something called a JUnit dependency that we installed in our POM file. Let me show you here. This dependency right here. Where did my mouse go? Sorry. Let me bring this up. So this particular dependency, that's going to give us all the powers to run every single one of those methods as we want to, how we want to, when we want to. We can also control which comes first, which method you should run before, which method you should run after. All of that power comes with this. You will see more of that as we use it in application. The very first thing, right on top of the method. So this whole thing is the method. Starts with the public and then ends with that bracket. Right on top of this public, you type in at the rate. At the rate is that symbol to activate JUnit. So that's a reserved symbol for JUnit. You write the word test in capital T. And it's obviously going to give you an error. You hover over, you select this piece right here, which says add JUnit for library to the build path. Once you do that, keep your eye on the left right here. You got this JRE system library, you got this Maven dependency. Once you had that, you will also see JUnit 4 library show up right here. And that's what you want. So here we go. Hover over, add JUnit library to the build path. And now notice you have this JUnit right there. Okay, JUnit 4. And it recognizes that. So with that, Java is now asked to come to this method and then execute these statements line by line. What I want to see is the moment you actually write this line of code, it will automatically open up the Chrome browser for you. It's not going to give you any websites yet. It's just going to give you a blank Chrome browser that's going to open up. If that opens up and your build doesn't fail, everything looks okay, then this project is good. If not, we're going to have to go back to what we did last time. So let's do this right now. So I'm going to go in here, and at this point, I can just right click on the simple project, click on run as, and say JUnit test, or even do a Maven build. Let's do a Maven build this time and see what happens. Do a Maven build, it gives me this console if I do the Maven build. That console is running build failure. That's not good. And why is that? Source option, let's see, compilation error. no longer support. Source option 5 is no longer supported. Use 7 or later. Target option. Most likely it's in this POM file. So if I were to troubleshoot this, there is no compiler stuff that I see in here. And there is no build plugins and stuff that I see in here either. So, yep, Raju, this is not going to work. This used to come with a little bit more information in here and be able to work with this, but it's missing some of those compiler stuff that should be in here, and this project is still not working. So we're gonna have to crash and burn this and do it again. Unfortunately, it's not going to. I thought that we could make it simple for you here, but it's not going to be that simple. When you delete your project, check this box right here, delete project content on disk, and which cannot be undone. And that will totally clean everything up. And then click continue. And I want to delete this one as well. So let's go back to the one that we did yesterday, last week, because that's definitely worked for us. Right click, create a project, Maven project, next, next, and just go to this all archetype, type in Maven dash archetype dash quick start. Select this 1.4. Next, unselect this run archetype generation interactively. Give it a name and call it again, test project. Test project. Let me call this tech files test. We're actually going to deep dive in there. Tech files test, finish. The console just disappeared. Anyway, window perspective, reset perspective. There's that project. Open it up. Delete these packages. Delete that package. Open up the POM file. Notice that this POM file now has these properties. And then it has this compiler, Maven.compiler configuration, which we didn't have in the other project that we just deleted. Change this to 1.8. It took me the entire day to research to find out this combination that works. In this dependency section, don't go any below that. I'll delete this and I'll go to the site. Let's see. I'm going to take these 4 dependencies. Again, I'm really afraid of copying from here because I don't know what I'm copying and it doesn't always work. Delete that, paste it into Notepad, select that, copy it from the Notepad, take it into in the dependencies, paste it in there. To make it pretty, Control-Shift-F, and take off these extra lines. Make sure no errors. Control S to save it. At this point, right click on the project, do a Maven build. Run as Maven build. Build success. Didn't even ask me for clean and install, I don't know why. Folder for driver. Find the driver, drag and drop, copy, create a package, test package, create a class, we're going to call this login test. Finish. We have this class. Create a method. Login to deck files with real credentials. This is going to be our positive test case. We're going to put in our proper credentials and try to log in. And then we're going to have a negative test case where we're going to put a fake and then see if that stops us from logging into it. So here, I want to say system dot set property WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. We don't need this window. Get it down. And in here, as a string, make sure you put a semicolon to close. Let's take the driver spot properties. Copy that. Put it down. Okay. So far, so good. WebDriver driver equals new Chrome driver. You've now seen this, me typing this so many times. Best again, when you work for a company, this is already going to be typed up for you. Your boss is going to say, hey, you just work with this guy called driver. And with that driver dot, you get all your methods. You don't even have to build anything for your company. Import, import. Put @test, hover over, add JUnit4 to the library build path. Control S to save everything. I'm just going to hit this run button right now. Let's see what happens. Right here. Worked fine. It opened up in a different window. So let me do this. Let me move this presentation to a different window. Just 1 second. Share the screen. All right. So take a look at this. The moment I'm going to hit the run button, or I can do Maven build for that matter. I can do right click on the project, go to run as, and do a Maven build. You will see the console in that case. There's that console. Your code is compiling. Here's the test starting. There's that Chrome driver. It opened and it stated that it didn't go anywhere. And if I manually close this, just to get it out of the way, look what happened. Test got started and it's telling you what it's doing, running test.login test. That's the test name I gave. Over here, it's telling you Chrome driver 109 got started successfully and some other information. Then it gives you some test data. It tells you that test run was 1. We only ran 1 test. We got 0 failure, 0 error. We didn't skip anything. Results is kind of the same thing, repeating. And then finishes up with the build success. Tells you the total time, how long it took to get the date and everything. It took 5.850 seconds for you to run that test case. So this is a report in the console, but it's not as good as report. I mean, it would be nice if it had a little more information, which you're going to see that come up right here. Take a look at this left panel. Get my pen tool out. This is one of the features of JUnit. What it does, it gives you this little window with information on the test you ran. We only ran 1 test, so that's the test is showing right here. It with green bar right here telling you that it passed. Let me zoom in on that. There. So the green bar is what you want to see. If you see a green bar, it's like your test pass. Okay. The top number here, the very first number tells you there was only 1 test case. We ran 1 test case, 0 error and 0 failure. You can also expand this test case a little bit more to get more information down here, which I'll show you right now. And it breaks it down to how many seconds each of that method took. A little more information. If your test failed, it would show up down here. Failure trace. If your test passes, this will stay empty. Any questions so far? Okay, guys, it's been almost an hour. Let's take 5-10 minutes break, come back. I'm gonna grab myself a cup of coffee and then we're gonna deep dive on this. This project is going to work. You saw I just copy pasted from my site into the notepad and then in here. Follow this same technique, just kind of memorize it or whatnot. Take your own notes. Don't think that Stein already has his stuff on his website. I'm just gonna get it from there and I'm gonna be okay with that. No, you need to take a piece of paper and pencil and then write your own cheat sheet way of building this project. You're gonna impress me if tomorrow I see you and you're like whipping out of this from a little bit of notes that you took on a little piece of paper where that keeps you organized in how to build this one. You are gonna need to build this one for the interview because what if they do a face-to-face interview with you online? kind of like this meeting setup that we have. They give you a link, you'll go online, and then they watch you build this, and they watch you. And it happened to me. Of course, I failed after like 80% of the way. I wasn't able to complete that, but they really wanted me. They wanted to hire me. They were really helping me out there, but I just gave up and walked away because I really didn't have a good teacher to teach me this stuff. But I promise you, I'm going to take you farther than what they are going to expect from you. You're going to do so much better. And all I need is that you do the homework, due diligence, the little work that you have to do to practice on this to get yourself there. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Can I ask you a question right now or when we come back?
Yeah, you can ask me a question now. This is a good time.
Okay. Last day in the very first second line, like after the public void open Google site, after that you also type throws interrupted exception. What does that mean? Why we are not using it today?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That one is when you saw that. Actually, can I answer that after the break? Because I will have the code in there
Okay.
to explain that better.
Okay, another thing is that the public void, why this void is used here? Because if it is void, it is not going to give us any return.
Right.
Isn't
Do
that?
we want anything returned?
When we are using the Google site, we may be asking for some return or not.
We're not. Remember the tortilla maker?
Yes.
So we have this little tortilla making machine. This whole thing is a machine. And here's the funnel. You put salt, water, and stuff in here. Machine does its thing. And then in here, it's gonna spit out the tortilla. Right?
Yes.
So you would want a return. If you had a return, after this machine does its thing, this method is going to give out some information or data back. But we really don't want any information back. Like if this was kind of like adding two numbers and give me the result, then the result will come on here.
I see.
But we wanted to do something. We wanted to take the flour, take the water, and start working on it. And this is the first work is like, okay, you first mix it. And then next thing we're gonna say, okay, now you go ahead and really knead it so that it becomes soft. Then we're gonna say, okay, now you divide it into smaller round pieces. Then we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of a stuff on top of it. Okay, so we're just gonna keep on doing that and really never really want anything back from this. Makes sense?
Okay.
The bread is gonna stay there. It's gonna finish there, and whoever needs to eat it will eat inside the method. We don't need it out. So you will see how things kind of boil down as we do more of these lines right here, and then each line is going to define our test case.
Okay.
It's really gonna piece together by the end of day today.
Okay.
All right. I will see you after 5 minutes.
Stan,
Yeah, just a
Stan, can I show you my form file? Because it doesn't go well. So I
yeah,
need to share just.
sounds good. Can I let me get a cup of coffee? Just give me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, please.
Thanks. All right. Everybody back? Andrew, Pervin, are you guys back? All right. So let's go to our test case. Chisti, is it okay if we debug your code at the end of the class?
Uh, I might not get time because I have to go to work in this afternoon at 2 o'clock, so I have to start at 1:30.
Oh man.
So
Okay. I
maybe
may be able to finish
tomorrow.
this sooner. I may be able to finish this sooner, if not tomorrow.
Mhm,
And also, if I'm unable to do this, just
mhm,
send me another time and during the weekday, maybe closer to the
mhm.
evenings, nights. I'm available anytime after 5 o'clock to like 9 p.m.
All right. So is it possible if we can make a time on Monday after 5, any time after 5?
Yeah,
Okay. So please let me know so that I can
yeah.
do.
We'll see. If we can't handle it today, if I can't make it finish this class before that and we don't get to it, we'll set up something.
No problem.
Cool. So here
All right.
on the intro to Selenium, here's my classwork that we're going to automate. Um, let's understand the big picture first before we even start going into the code. So what we need to do now, we know that we can pull up the Chrome driver. So after we pull up the Chrome driver, look at this step one, open Chrome browser, which we can with that code, driver equals new Chrome driver. That will do it for us. Two is go to the stick file site. Three, enter username, enter password, hit the submit button, and validate the dashboard page gets displayed. So let's copy this from here first. So if I copy these 5 steps and the name of the test case, you can just name it the name of the scenario. Like valid users should be able to log into TechFile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this name right now. Instead of saying login to TechFiles with real credentials, this method name is going to be the title of your test case, which is valid users. But again, you got to put it in what case do I need to write this in? I need a fast answer on this. Like maybe within 2 seconds, I need an answer.
This should be the test case name.
Yes, in what case format? Pascal
Uh,
case,
it, it's
lowercase,
Pascal.
camel
It's
case,
it's camel case.
camel case. Good. So it's gonna be valid with the lowercase v. Valid users should be able to log in. Okay, you don't have to say log into tech files because this whole project is for tech files. So you can just leave it like that. Sometimes in your company, you may even have a test ID number to keep track of that. And you can put that test ID number in here as well. Like we have something called with the letter C, meaning case number 1234. And this could come from your test rail. When you put this test case in the test rail, you saw it in our beginning classes that the test rail will give you a number like a test number 1 or 2 or 3 and 4 and keep piling up as you have more test cases. It's going to go in the hundreds, maybe in the thousands, and you will get numbers like that. And you can put this number right here. Later, this number you can quickly search this whole project and go to where this number is. It's going to take you there really fast when you get big with it. Right now, we're very small. We only have one class. No big deal. We don't need this numbering scheme. But you can also search the entire project for this test case title, and it will take you there where that test case is if you ever had to fix something in it. Okay, we done that. We are going to copy paste all of these steps right here so we see how we're going to do this step by step. So I'm going to go back and take all these steps. And you put them in comments so that it doesn't mess up your code. So I'm going to first paste it. And then I'm going to select all of these junk. And then I'm going to press Control/. And they got all block commented, and it's not going to mess your code up at all. Now notice this first line, line number 13, is already doing this step number 1. So I'm going to cut that, put it right here. Okay. Already doing that. A little bit of cleanup here. And I just got to do a comment with it. That's okay. All right. Don't need this one. We need step number 2. These methods that I'm going to give you right now are on the notes. And you need to know these methods. Because this is basically like if I put you in a kitchen and you want to cook there, the chef tells you, here's the microwave, here's the pots and pans, here's the refrigerator, there is the egg right here, here's the cake mixture. You need to know what tools you got in that kitchen for you to be doing all the work. So everything that I'm going to show you right now, you don't have to memorize it, but you need to know that it's there. And if you forget the word, look it up in your notes, go to my website, check those, and then you need to be able to basically use it. So make sure you're able to use it. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this. Our step 2 is asking us, go to this website. Driver is going to get us there. So you take this word called driver, put a dot, and look at all these things it can do. But it really don't need to do much. There is one thing called get. With this get command, and you putting in this URL inside the method as a string, this will take you or get you that website for you. So with this get method right here, I'm going to do dot get, hit an enter. Your cursor is now inside the method waiting for you to notice it. It's telling you what to put in there. Excuse me, do it one more time. So use your intelligence here. Look at this. When I brought the get method, it blocked this much right here. It's telling me that right now it's null, meaning nothing in it. And it's waiting, giving me a hint that Stein, you need to write something in here or I'm not going to work. And Stein is like, okay, I don't really know what to put in there. Well, then it gives me another hint that you need to put in a URL of where you want to go. And by the way, you have to put double quote because it's a string. So those 2 words are speaking to me like that. That A, give it a URL, and B, put it in double quote as a string. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now I delete this null thing. I don't need that. Here's my double quote because I know it needs a string. Where do I want to go? Well, the test case will give it to you already. If you go in an interview, they're going to tell you, give you this URL. So take that, paste it here, semicolon, finish. Question so far?
Yeah.
So every step of the way, you should run your test and make sure it's working. So now I'm going to hit the run button. We'll obviously save it, Control S. Run it. There's the console. There's the Chrome browser just opened up, and it shows me this login page and its text files. So it's working for me. No errors. I can close this off and I can continue doing the process. With me so far?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to step number 3. In step number 3, it says type username in the username field. And this is where I need to stop and take you farther, deeper into something. That might take me an hour back to bring you back in here, but you need this information before you can even proceed. So here's what you need. There's actually 2 parts of interacting with elements like you type in a username somewhere. Notice 2 things going on here. One, you got a username field, and then you need to type in username. Okay? So the username field is a location. You have to tell the driver to go to that username field first. And then you have to insert the username in that location. So this would be an action. Okay? Understand the 2 parts. There is a part, first part is go there, number 1. And then second part is insert the or type the username. Together, those 2 things, you have to tell this driver guy to do it. All right? And here's how you do this. But before that, let's understand some basic terms, because I'm going to use some words and you're going to be like, I never heard of these words, or I don't know what he means by it. So I'm going to take this URL, go in here. Everything I'm going to say is in the notes, by the way. Let's take a look at this website. Everything you see is an element. Elements or element. For example, this is an element. The type of element it is called text. Just text, plain text, or sometimes called plain text. This is an element. This is called input field. This is an element. Well, this is also an input field right here, where you're putting a password. Also input field. This element, you guessed it, a button. And this is also an element. You notice that it's kind of in a blue color, telling you you can hover over, click on it, take you somewhere. If this is a plain text, meaning you click on it, doesn't take you somewhere, then a text that take you somewhere is called a linked text. Not a plain text, but linked text. Sometimes this thing is also called hyperlink. But in Selenium, we're going to call this linked text. Why? Because this text is linked to somewhere else. You can click on it and take you somewhere. So all of these pieces of stuff that you see on the websites are basically called elements. Now, this is the beautiful way of seeing the elements, like kind of like the car body, the beautiful car body that you see. But all the engines are located if you right click on it and choose this option called inspect. Okay. Or if you don't want to do that, there's a shortcut key for this. You can just type in your keyboard F12. And if you type in, press that button that says F12, it's also going to open up that for you. So let me do that. Leave this F12. And this opens up this all the under the hood of the car stuff for you down here. This is called Chrome DevTool. Chrome DevTool. All right. The developers use this extensively to design the website. You, as a QA, you're only going to be using like 5% maybe, if not less, of this to do your testing stuff. There is a button right here with the 3 dot. There are some settings thing. You will never touch that. There are tabs right here. You will notice these are tabs, elements, console, sources. These are all tabs, and it will take you to different pages within it. Each have something to do with this website. To be honest, I don't know what all of these things do. I only know what the QA will need ever. You're going to be in this elements tab, sometimes in this consoles tab. And if you want to do API testing, there's something called network tab, which I will, towards the end of the course, I will give you a little bit of a gist of this before you go in the market. So with this much information, you should be able to do all your test automation needs. Now, in this button here, you can make this window a little bit easier to view. For example, if I click on this and let's say I don't want this to be down here, I want it to be like to the right side. What happens is this icon, notice that right side is kind of solid and left side is blank, will move this entire panel to the right side of your screen. Same thing for this one is the left side. This one currently selected in blue is like the bottom of it, in the bottom tray. And if you pick this one, it will create a new window for you, which I really, really like. In my work, what I do is I have 2 screens. Well, right now I'm looking at 5 screens in front of me. But when I'm automating test cases, I put this dev tool in a separate screen. And then I have the beautiful face in one screen, and this ugly black dev tool in another screen so that I can easily work faster. Really, it helps me speed up stuff. So if you have that opportunity, do that definitely you'll get that opportunity when you get a job. They will give you multiple screens at your workplace. So I'm going to show you right now how that looks. If I select this right side mode, the whole thing jumps to the right. You can move this around a little bit to make yourself comfortable. Sometimes you might need more of this. Sometimes you might need less of this. You can do that. Always click on this tab to go into the elements. If you look at these elements, they look exactly same thing that you did on the HTML class to create the code for me. So don't panic. This is nothing that you haven't done. So you know some of these patterns of writing codes because you've written it before. You can click inside this and then press a control minus to make the font smaller. Or if it's too small, you can make the font bigger. Know how to do this because you will be living here for a long time. in this career. So make yourself always comfortable. Don't strain your eye. And that will make you a better performer in writing codes. The other thing, yeah, let me do the left side. Here's the left side. And if I click on this and go to this one, which is like totally detached from this page, then it's going to give me a whole new window, which is still speaking of what's behind it. And I can actually put it in a different screen, drag and drop it in a different screen for better visibility. Can't do that right now because I need to demo you stuff. And I can't demo two screens to you. What are these? Basically, these right here, everything that you see that you also coded are called nodes. So nodes. Let's understand the definitions first. Get the words out of the way. Nodes. What does that mean? That means this whole one line is a node. That whole statement is a node. All of these. Even this one is empty. Well, this is probably finishing up something that got started right there and getting finished up right there. So whatever that was is going to be a node. This is going to be a node. So the entire line is a node. Okay, that's a node. Now, inside a node, we have something called attribute. Attribute, and then usually they're going to come in like this with quotation, and there's going to be some sort of value inside it. So, for example, notice this right here, class equals wrapper, no navigation. That's an attribute value. The attribute is class. Excuse me, I need to change my font. The class is the attribute, and the value is in quotation, which is wrapper, no navigation, preload. That's the value. This right here, this class is an attribute. Sign in wrapper is a value. Okay? This class is the attribute. This login is the value. You're going to need that. Now, this entire thing that you see here, this entire stuff in elements, it's called DOM. DOM. It stands for document, object, model. Document, object, model. Why did it name it that way? I have no idea. Is it important? Not at all. You just need to know whenever your developer ever utter the word called DOM, all they mean is go inside here, open up F12, go in here, go under the elements tab, and check in here whether that thing is there or not. So that's when they might be saying that. Any questions about these wordings?
No.
Definitions all clear? Okay. Next thing, whenever you want to find an element, so each of these elements have some sort of a code in here. You saw that when you coded. You saw when you needed an input field, you had to have some sort of code in there. For this button, you had to have something there, right? We remember the tag name, which is the top of the very first word that you would use. It's called a tag name. So let's take that learning to the next level. If you click on this button here, and want to go to that specific element or code related to that element, will take you there. Here's how you do it. You click on this button and you take your mouse, and let's say I want to go to this particular element. See, it got highlighted right now. If I click on it, immediately the highlighted code is going to take me and open up and expand and take me to that element in the DOM. With me so far? If I do the same thing, let's say I want to know where is the code for this button right here. So if I click on this button and hover over, go to this sign in, click on it, immediately my highlighter moved from here to here, telling me that this node, this whole node is actually generating this piece of thing that you see that you're able to interact with. Kind of makes sense. Look at this. When we talked about this input field, our node started with the tag name called input. If you don't see that, then DevTool is broken. Sometimes it might be broken, but you got to use your human intelligence for that. Now, when I wanted the button, obviously I want to see the tag name start with the word button. If it doesn't, then I need to do it again. Now, here's another way you can do this. You can actually click on this button, like hover over this button, or hover over this element, or click on it, hover over, and then click inspect again. It will take the highlighter back in there. You can hover over this, text files, inspect right on top of it. It's going to take you there. All right, look at this. It's an image. If you look at the tag name, it tells you something about that. It's an image. You've done an image before. You know you had a source. That image is coming from that source. And if you follow this URL, http://textfiles.com test billing, these are all folders. You go through those folders, you might find it there. You may not have the access to, but it's there. Any questions so far? So two different ways. The other way is I can just click on this box, inspect again. It will take me to that input node that we saw. Let me do one thing here. This always helps a little bit for teaching purposes. Okay. So if I right click on this box here, it takes me to that button node. Right click on this. Here's a pop quiz, guys. This is a hyperlink. If I right click and it's going to take me to a node, who can tell me what would be the tag name for this node? We're going back to the HTML class now.
Uh, sorry,
Hmm?
say again. Say again the question.
Yes. So input field, you saw
Oh, this is link text.
link text, correct. But what would be the tag name when you had a hyperlink? This is from your HTML class that you did. Yeah, that was still input. That's that input right there. You saw when you wrote a button tag, tag name, that gave you a button. What tag name is gonna give you a hyperlink? What will be that tag name equivalent? Button gives you button. Input gives you this kind of boxes. What gives you a hyperlink like that? Who can tell me?
Is it URL?
No. It's the letter A.
Attribute button?
Letter A.
Attribute?
A stands
Uh,
for anchor.
oh, yeah.
It will anchor something right here that will take you somewhere else. So instead of writing the whole word, they take this letter A and then they have this tag name starting with
Yes,
letter A.
AH
Remember that?
reference.
Yeah.
AH
So
reference.
yes, and then you have this source href, right? You have this href source is for the image, but you have this href and then equal to which website it takes you, kind of like that. You put it in double quote. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. That tells you that you did forget a few things. You might need to go back and brush up a little. Let's continue here. I am going to right click on this and inspect that. And sure enough, look at this. Right there, the letter A for anchor and Raju. There's that href with where it's going to take you.
Mhm.
Okay. But the actual text that's getting printed, notice that's still like that. Whatever you write in between those two brackets, even including that question mark, everything shows up exact. All right, look at this sign in word showing up right here. But the button tag name creates the look of it, how it's going to look. It's going to look like this. There is the color. Doesn't have the attribute color yet. So you got a standard button basically with that color. But you can change the color by putting attribute some one more property right here called color equals something. Remember that we did? We're not going to go in there too much. Let's get to our work, what we want to do. So now that you know how to get to those elements, you have to use these properties of these elements to be able to hook your Selenium to, let's say, this element, and then this element and this element. So we need three things here. We need an username field, input field, we need a password input field, and we need a button input field for our test case. We don't have to do anything else. So first, we have to tell our driver to go to this place, and then second, we have to say what to insert in it. Okay, so let's do that step by step. I'm going to go to Eclipse and watch what happens here. So if I write the word driver and put a dot, there is a method called find element. Okay. You're going to see two methods here. One is find element and the other is find elements, plural. We will talk about this later. Right now, you just need single element. So always make sure you pick the right one. You just take the find element, right? So if I do that, dot find element, it's waiting for me here, asking for me that, okay, you want to find the element. Understand, we're still finding the element. We didn't say do what in it or type something in it yet. We have to find it properly because then Selenium is not going to know where to go. It's waiting for something called by. And then same thing, repeat again. What is that? Well, actually, kind of like you've seen where they write string and then it had something called URL. Remember that? With this capital first word, it's telling you that you have to use that data type, and that's what you need to insert. Now, that's giving you a hint that, hey, there is a class called by. And in that class, if you just write the word by and then put a dot, it's going to give you several ways to get there. Like, it's kind of like you send your driver to find something. And he's saying, I am the driver, but you didn't give me a car. What am I going to use? Do you want me to use a passenger car? Do you want me to take the train? Do you want me to fly there? Do you want me to take a ship? This is where you are going to specify how you want him to get there. With me so far?
Yes.
There are 7 different ways to get there. These are called element locators. More on that tomorrow, but just want to show you how things work. So what you're going to do is you're going to delete that, type the word capital BY and put a dot, and immediately you're going to get a lot of these. But there's 7, really 7 good ones. The rest you don't have to use anymore. Now, before we go here, let me show you some of the ones. One is called ID. It's this one, by.id. That's like, this is the highway, by the way. ID is like the highway. There's another one called name, name of the element, and that one. That's also a very good one. There's another one called linked text. We just talked about that linked text thing that you saw. Take a look at this. If I write in the word link, I see one called link text, and then I see a partial link text. Okay, partial is like you can just throw in a little bit of it and it will work. I'll give you more examples later, show you how they work. There's called CSS selector. This is not much of a highway. This is like you go through hoops and loops and stuff. They work. You can still send the driver where you want it to. There is something called XPath. Excuse me. Dot XPath. Now this is going to become your most important stuff. XPath is a more elaborate code way of doing it. It's not the easiest, but it always works if other methods, other ways, roads have like broken bridges and things and the driver cannot go there, or even the road was never built to go there, then XPath is going to fly you there. And I'm going to teach you how to do XPath like a pro starting tomorrow, not today. Takes the whole day for that. Okay. We are only going to do ID and name because it's so easy. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at it on the website. So if I go in here, right click on this input field, inspect, take a look at this. Do you see an attribute called ID? Do you see an attribute called name? These are the element locators that I'm talking about. Locators. So we talked about there's one called ID. 2, you can do it by name. 3, we said there's something called linked text. 4, there was a partial linked text. 5, there is CSS selector. 6, we talked about XPath. And 7, to be honest with you, I can't remember, but you're not going to need it. We will look into the notes later. Your ID, name, link text, partial link text. I am not going to show you CSS. I might show you CSS, but this is really not nice, messy. We really, I want you to be mastering this area called XPath. This is not the easiest thing to do, but you are going to be genius and never have a problem with anything on finding locators if you know how to do XPath. And interviewer will ask you about this a lot. So, any questions about this so far? Okay, take a look at this. This, if I choose the ID, then all I need is this ID value to hook Selenium to this location. Selenium will look for this entire DOM and look for where the ID is username, and then we'll connect to that field. And then you can say, all right, now go ahead and type something in there and it will be able to type it properly. So we're going to take this ID from here and do that right now. So let's do it. We'll go to our Eclipse. I'm going to delete this again. Put a dot, find element, capital BY by dot, we're going to say ID because we found an ID there, and hit enter. And inside, put double quote and copy. You can double click on this. Automatically, the value is highlighted. So if you just press Control C, you copied it. Come back into your Eclipse and just paste it there. There. This is it. This is the first part. You telling driver, go find the element. And driver is saying, how? You're saying, go the city roads, don't take the highway, which is like ID. And what's the ID of that element? Username. Only one of those elements have that. If multiple of them have it, you're going to get a complaint from the driver. Driver's going to say, hey, you gave me an address that is like, Houston has the same address and Dallas has the same address. I'm all confused. It's going to complain. Your test is going to fail. But I promise you right now in this page, this username ID equals username attribute is nowhere else repeated. This is the only element that has that. Therefore, there's not going to be any complaints. You will see more of that later. Any questions about this part so far? Finding location.
I mean, if it has a multiple ID, I mean, same a duplicate ID, so we can go by names, right?
Does it have duplicate? Yes, you're right, Stanley. If it has duplicate ID, then you go with another option, which is the name, and that will work for you as well. What if you got both ID and username duplicate somewhere else? What would you do then? You take another road. You look for partial link text. If there is a link text, you look for CSS. But better yet, I promise you that I will show you how to create an XPath to get there without any ID, name, nothing. So if you find it impossible, XPath will always be a sure thing for you, which I'll show you tomorrow. So now I got it. Okay. All I did right now, I got hooked the driver to the right spot. The driver is going to go to this element, find the element by this username. He is waiting now. Okay, you sent me where you wanted to send me. What do you want me to do with this guy? Do with this element. You put a dot, and now this gives you a bunch of list of things you can do. Take a look at this. Zoom in. So as soon as I put a dot right here, it gave me a list. I can scroll down. There's a lot. A couple of things you can already tell right here. There's a click. Obviously, you can probably piecing together that this would be when I click the button, but this is not a button. I need to type something in there. So typing that thing is called send text. You put a dot and type in send keys. You will see something like this. Send keys. So you choose this method, and whatever you type inside that method is going to be sent to that input field. Okay? So I'm going to select that. Dot send keys. Has to be in a string format. So here's the string. Semicolon to finish. And this is where I need to put in the username. So did that give me the username? Yes, the test case gave me the username, which is this. I'm going to copy that, paste it right in here. Any questions so far before we run this and see how it looks? Very simple, okay? It's very simple. You will keep on doing this thing that I just showed you. It took me 1 hour to show you because really this is all you're going to be doing in test case automation. A lot of this. Let's run it. Save, run, watch this. Here's the website. And look at this. There's that username already automatically came in. Now you're like, oh no, you're joking, Stein. You just made it up. Well, it looks like I'm joking because it came in so fast. How about this? We slow things down a little bit. This is gonna give us the website, and this is gonna type that in there. We're gonna put a 3-second wait in here. And Raju, that's your question. To put a wait, this is the code. Just memorize it. Thread dot sleep. And it will give you this sleep option. Hit enter. Has to be in thousands. So 1000 equals 1 second. We want 3000 for 3 seconds, semicolon. This usually will throw you an error. If you hover over, it gives you some solution. Always take the first one, add throws declaration. If I click on that, you get this little thing on your method called throws interrupted exception. What does that mean? This is going back to the exception handling class. I will just briefly tell you, but watch that video. What it does is usually this method here can have some complications and it can have some errors in it and it will probably block you going forward. It will fail right here. For any reason, what I don't want to go details in it, it could fail. There's a possibility this method has a way of failing for some reason. But you don't want that. Why would we want Java to fail for sleeping for 3 seconds? I don't want it. That's a waste of time. So you can forcibly say that if you fail, I want you to throw it out the window. I don't even want it. So you using this throws right after the method name, what you're saying is this method throws out the window any kind of interrupted exception. Exception is how Java says error. Java doesn't say error, Java says exception, which means an error. So if any kind of interrupted exception or error shows up, this method will look at it and throw it out the window and not interrupt your test case at all. Did that answer your question, Raju?
Yes.
Okay. So you only have to do it once. Why? It's because I can now keep on doing this thread dot sleep in 5,000, let's say, semicolon. It's never going to ask me again to write that because it recognizes that, okay, hey, I come with some baggage, I am not the nicest person. Sometimes I can be really rude. Do you want to throw my rudeness out the window? Yeah, well, you already did that on this method, so I'm not going to complain. Now you can keep on using this over. Got it? I don't need that. Watch this. I'm going to run this now. It's going to go to this website. It's going to wait for 3 seconds, and then it's going to type in the stickfiles@gmail.com. Here we go. There's that. 1, 2, and 3. There. We got that files demo username just came in. Any question?
I have one question. Like the throws interrupt exception, does it has only one? Do we need to use only for the thread sleep, or it has some other functions too?
For now, only thread sleep. You will only see this with thread sleep and nothing else in the testing projects ever.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it might not have other applications. Now we're talking about advanced Java, which you're going to learn on your own and maybe teach me someday.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to close this. I hate that this is, well, no, not yet. Not going to solve that problem yet. Let's go do the next one. Now, our next step, we got the step 4 done. Our step 3 done. Step 4 is the same thing, but this time we go to the password field and type in this password. So we start the same way. And now I'm going to go a little bit faster. You'll see I'm not going to take an hour to explain one step to you. Driver dot, same thing, find a limit. We're going to type in by dot. I can't really say what yet until I go and see the road. Let's go see the road. And we're going to see, can we take the road? Can we take the highway? Can we take the train? Or do we need to take the plane like expat? Right click, inspect. Here's where I want to go. Let's take a look at the attributes. Well, I got an attribute, a good one. My pen tool stopped working. Let me close, restart. Why? Oh, it works in the other page, but you don't want to work here. I'm going to make you work here. Just 1 second. Technology can have its own mind sometimes. Oops. What did I just do? Pen tool, pen. Oh, 1 moment, sorry. It's probably this window here. And there. Kind of forcing it back and forth. clear. Right click, inspect, and we can either use ID or name. Let's use name just to show you all the varieties out there. So I'm going to click on name. Sometimes double clicking will highlight that. You can also press Control A to select the whole thing right here. Or just double click on that and copy. Going into the Eclipse, we're going to say by.name. And name, pick that. Put double quote. Inside the double quote, paste the name value, which was password. We found the element. Now put a dot. We want to type something in there, so send keys, double quote, and this password stuff. Copy that password, paste it, voila, done. But it's going to happen so fast, why don't we slow it down for 3 seconds? Bring it up here again. So it's going to wait 3 seconds, type in the username, wait 3 seconds, and type in the password. Let's see it. Run it. There's a site. 1, 2, 3 seconds. There's the username. 1, 2, 3 seconds. There's the password. With me so far? Any question?
No.
Okay. Closing. Last thing. Click on the button. Same way. Go this far. Right. Close your eyes and write driver.findElement. By, but wait here. Let's take a look at what by we got to do. Right click, inspect, we got here. And we have a few things. We got a name. Unfortunately, we can't do a type because type was not a type of element that was there in that by thing. It was ID, name, link text, blah, blah, blah. But the type was not an option that we could take under that by class. But we can take name. It got the name, which is login. So I would double click, copy that word login, go back, by dot name, quotation, the word login, put a dot. This time it's a button. I don't need to type anything. So I just need to click on it and I can choose this click option, hit enter, done. Okay, run it. There's that username in 3 seconds. There's that password in 3 seconds. Click on the submit, sign in, and now we are in the dashboard. Questions so far?
No.
We can take a 5 minutes break shortly, but I don't like this opening up and not going away. Your test should also open and close it. Therefore, a piece of code that you need to finish it off, correct, driver.quit, that will also close the window and then be done for you. So let's run this and see if it closes. Here opened up username, password, sign in, and close. Your test is passing. by the green bar tells you it's passing. You already know what to look for when the test is passing. Let's fail it. Let's see how we're going to fail this and look at the report. So how are we going to fail it? We're going to force fail it. One way to fail this is if there was a bug. Let's say this whole field does not show up anymore. Your test is going to fail. If this button tomorrow does not show up anymore, your test is going to fail. But I can't really put a bug in this website. So I'm going to put some bug in my code. And that's the only way I can fail this right now. So the way I can put a bug in my code is, let's say this name right here. Instead of password, I'm going to put a letter E, like as if I spelled it wrong. And if I run this, the Java should come up to here and then fail. Let's see. Run it. Opens up the site. 3 seconds, it was able to type in the username. Look at this, 3 seconds gone, but the password is still not arriving. It's waiting. Now, generally, it's pretty fast. Look at this report right here. It's already red. And in here, it's telling you that it failed. It ran one of one ran, one error. Failure and error is two different things. Failure is when you control Java to fail it. That's how it's going to show here. Error is like you did not handle the failure. Java failed himself for not able to find something, maybe. You're also going to see this X mark right here, indicating where it failed, which test case you're talking about. Valid user should be able to log in. That's the test case. And now you got a whole bunch of information in this failure trace box that will help you find the issue. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to get rid of this, expand this, and let's see what we can make of it. I wish I could increase the font here, but unfortunately, it doesn't allow increasing the font. But I promise you, the most important thing in this stack trace is the very first line and the very last line, which you have to scroll down, by the way, to see. Let's take a look at the first line first and see what it says. And I'll start zoom in as much as I can. All right. It's telling you open QA Selenium, and it's telling you no such element exception. So that should already give you an idea of what it is. When you see no such element, meaning it was unable to find an element, and also broke it down like this, no such element. Also wrote unable to locate element, and it's telling you where. It has some bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense. We didn't use any CSS selector. We didn't use anything in that. But do you see that the letter E that I put in right there and it was able to find, it kind of took me there. So it's telling me that this is what he was trying to find, look for, and then couldn't find. So that should give you a telltale sign where I need to go look for it. But still, it doesn't say which line number. So what you do is you go to the last line, you scroll down, and you go to the very last line, which is this one, and you look at it, it's inside the test package, class name is login test, and the test case name is, the method name is valid user should be able to log in, and it tells you the line number. Login test.java class, the line number is 27. Okay. Sometimes in some framework, you can double click here and it will take you there. Let me see if it works on this tiny little framework. There's your code. Right now 27 is highlighted. Let's say I click here, my cursor is there. I want to see if my cursor takes me to line number 27, which is the error is right here. So if I double click here, oh, look, the last line, it took me here. Took me to the murder scene where the dead body is, which is right here. Now, always remember, where the dead body is, you might find a criminal lurking around in the crowd, trying to see if police can recover or what is police doing. Or the criminal is already gone. You may need to trace back the blood trail and go back 1 or 2 steps behind to really find what happened. So the issue might lie here, or if not, issue will lie a couple of steps behind that. Definitely the issue is no longer not here for sure, because Java never even ended up in that future action. So use this kind of intelligence for that. Now again, if I fix that, go in here. This is what we do on a daily basis in our workplace. Obviously, we don't fake fail it, but what happens is, let's say the developer had the word called password today. 6 months from now, they change the name attribute from password to, let's say, password 1 or password 2. At that moment, our test is going to fail. And the failure does not necessarily mean that this input field is no longer there. That doesn't mean that. It means that they just changed something in the DOM. Well, what do we need to do as a QA when that happens? First, we need to come into this page manually and check it. That, hey, this is failing because of this input field right here. Is this input field still visible? Well, it may or may not be visible. One day it could be a major bug that they don't even have it in here. Well, then you caught a bug, write a ticket. But if you see that field is there, then you should go into the DOM and look for it and see if they changed something. And it could be like a password 1, or ID is no longer there, or name is no longer there. You need to come and attach to this element in a different way, which I'll show you tomorrow. So that will be the case for you. In that case, you need to fix your test and not write a bug ticket, because really it's not a bug. If the element is still visible here, but only thing changed is how they have this password or how they have this name thing, then you need to correct your test case to come back and fix that. Any question on this idea? This is a big topic I just covered about a mindset of what QA needs to do. Okay. So we go and fix this. I found the issue. It's not password 1, it's password. Save it, run it. I want to see this come out green. And I want to make sure that it's going okay. There's the username, there's the password, sign in, went to the dashboard. I got this green report right here, no stack errors and nothing. And I am all good to go. Any questions? we did not do step number 6. Dashboard page should display. Now, usually I don't do it on the first class. Okay. Your call. If you're overloaded, I can stop right here and you don't have to do that on the homework either. Just go and log in and quit and be done with today's class. Or do you want to see me how to validate this?
Yeah, carry on. I don't have any problem particularly.
Okay. So how are we gonna validate this is like we gotta have a plan. Well, in that case, you gotta check manually. How do you need to ask yourself, how do I manually validate it? Well, then automation is not gonna be any different. You're just gonna automate the manual test. Soon as I click on login, this is an action. Something happens. What just happened? Guys, talk to me. Open up your mics. Y'all there?
Yes.
So what
The
happened?
dashboard opens.
The dashboard opens, right? This dashboard right here. So you're looking at this dashboard and you see a lot of things. Beauty of this human intelligence is that you are looking at this dashboard menu, you are seeing this dashboard word, you are seeing this user icon right here. You look at it, you're like, yeah, it's a pass. Unfortunately, for Java, it's going to be one or two things that you're going to tell Java to check. Why one or two? Because everything you want Java to check, it's going to cost you a lot of writing. You don't want that. It will be a waste of your time. So, for today's class, let's just pick one thing that we're going to make sure that it gets displayed. You tell me from this page, what would you like?
Search customers.
Search customers, this thing right here? Okay,
Yes.
you really gave me the hard one.
Then which
It's
one
gonna be
should
too
it
hard
be?
for today's class. I mean, I don't want to lose some of you. But how about this word called dashboard?
Okay.
Okay, that would be easy. So that's you pick a word inside that page that only that particular page should have had, and you're like, Java, go check to see if this word is there. If so, call it a pass. If you don't see it, call it a fail. Okay? So we're gonna do this. Now, you obviously need to right click and check the element. Because again, driver only goes here. Driver does not live on this beautiful page. You have to tell where to go. So take a look at this right here. It doesn't have any attributes, by the way. See that? It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have ID. So that's gonna be a little bit tough for me not showing you the expat yet. That's gonna be a little bit of a bummer. What about the title right here? See, don't we have a title of every page? So HTML head, and there's a title. Okay. Can we work with this one? See this dashboard, tech files, test application, billing. This title has this stuff in here. excuse me, these texts right there. So we can easily, with what I gave you right now, we may be able to just show you how to take this title and then validate to see if that displays. Here's how we're going to do this. We are, hypothetically, we are going to ask driver to give us this text. Okay, driver is going to go to the title and give us this text. And then let's say we have this text right here. We're going to look for whatever we want to check. We can look for dashboard word, we can look for text files, test application, or billing, or even just test. Your choice. You use your intelligence of how you want to check that. If that word exists, then we're going to call it a pass. If it doesn't, we're going to call it a fail. Okay? Let's see if we can even get this thing first through the driver. So don't even jump the gun, go small step. So we open up. Delete this. Go in here. We say driver dot I have to give you an XPath. Bummer. Find element. I don't want to start the XPath right now at all. But looks like I have to give you an XPath. Let's look for anything else that doesn't need an XPath. There might be some things that we can find. How about this this dashboard right here? Click inspect. Add deposit. Any ID or name with something. Inspect. This class is not going to work. We need name and ID. There's an ID of a site nav, but it doesn't give us any text value. Feels like I really don't have anything, any way to show you how to validate this with the information that I gave you so far. Give me a second, let me see. Okay, we'll do this. We did see an ID somewhere, right? Right here, site nav. This ID, by the way, highlights all of these right here. So this is a unique element that is not visible in the other page, but only visible in this page called site nav ID. So let's go find that element right here. We're going to do it by ID called site nav. So I copy that. So we're going to go in here, by.id, put in site nav, yeah, side menu. There is something called dot is, look at this. There are three things that comes in Selenium. One is called is display, is enabled, and is selected. Is displayed means just what it says. whether the element you can see with the human eye, or is it hidden? Sometimes elements are hidden. Human cannot see, but you can see it in the DOM. Is enabled. What does that mean? Have you ever seen a button that's kind of grayed out until you put in some certain information, the button then becomes visible? That's called enable disable. You may see the button, meaning displayed, but the button may not be enabled, meaning if you click on it, nothing happens. So there's two things there. Either it's enabled or the opposite of that is disabled. And here's another one called is selected. What does that mean? That means you could have a checkbox. And if you have a checkbox like this, that checkbox, if you already clicked on that checkbox, it got X mark on it, that is selected is basically the answer to that is going to be true. But here's a checkbox, let's say, and nobody clicked on it. And if you try to get is selected on that, the answer is going to be false, meaning checkbox is not selected. Okay, basic English, basically. Whenever you see the word is in front of a method, how do I know this is the method? Who can tell me?
This is a camel case.
Camel case system. Thank you. Awesome. What's another thing?
Yeah, it's with the parenthesis.
It ends with the parenthesis. Awesome. Correct. So ends with the parenthesis and in a camel case. I know it's a method. Now, if the method starts with the word is, always know that the method is going to return Boolean. What is Boolean?
True or false?
True or false. That's all you're gonna get out of it. So if you ask that question, meaning in that method, if you use any one of these methods, it's going to return either true or it's going to return false. We are going to use one of this. We can go ahead and use this is displayed for that menu thing. It is not a checkbox that we need to use is selected. And it is not a button that we need to say, well, it is a button actually. We could also use is enabled and then check that. But right now we're just gonna say is displayed. So we found this element that's only supposed to be in that dashboard. And we're gonna use this method called is displayed. It's gonna tell us true or false. Let's just write it up first and then see how this works. Is displayed. That's it. You close it up. So this whole thing is going to return true or false to us. Let's first see how it works before we actually use it in a logic. So we're going to debug this, have Java slow down and go one step at a time. So I'm gonna put my breakpoint right here. I put a breakpoint and I'm gonna click on this debug button. So it went there and I hope it stops. What? Oh, it's saying you asked for debug, then you gotta open the debug perspective. So do you need to switch to the debug perspective? We say, yeah, switch. That gives you this kind of variable window right here on the right side. Notice this line got green. Java is right now waiting right there, waiting for your permission. I'm gonna put this on this one side and put this window on the left side. And we'll make it go one step at a time. All right. So if at this point it's waiting on line 27, which is password. So if I hit the step over button, it's going to put the password in there. So watch this. Where's step over? That's step over. I click on step over. There's that password just went there. Java came to this line 30, which is a login.click. It's didn't click yet. If I now click step over, it's going to click on it. There you go. It clicked. Took me to the dashboard. Let me make this window a little bit smaller. Now it's waiting on this command, which is, I don't need this window anymore. Minimizing it. What is that? Driver.findElement by.id side menu is displayed. So I don't like Eclipse debug. I don't know if this is gonna show me what the value is or not. How can I? Okay, let me run this and then see if it shows up here. Let me do a step over. Step over. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Is displayed return value true. With me so far?
Yes.
Any question you have you want to throw at this? I didn't show you full validation yet. I just wanted to make sure that it works. And it
Yeah,
works.
because this is the Boolean type, so it should come true or false. So it says true.
Correct. Now let's take a look at this. What if we fail it? We put a menu with the letter T, for example, and we rerun this. So I'm going to stop this debug and debug it again. There's that page. Where's my code window? There's the code window. In fact, I can expand this a little bit. Kind of hard to present this information so much. Multiple screens are so much better. Here's step over, one more step over, one more step over, and what? Oh, it's throwing an error. Okay, step return, step return, return. Come on, it took me into the source code. Step return, return. It took me way back. Ah, goodness gracious. That's not going to work to show you. But I could put the breakpoint here and let it jump all the way up to this quit part. So let's debug that. Maybe I'll get the variable come out as false and show you that it came out as false. There, it logged in. And is it waiting for me? Or it's probably throwing a no such element exception, yeah. See that? It failed right there because the element was not found at all. And you got a no such element exception. So I won't be able to show you. But here's what we can do. Really, I don't want to throw too much code at you right now because I might lose you. But here's what we're going to do. Keep it simple. Understand that this whole thing is going to give me true if that page is displayed. And I'm going to take this T off from there. So one thing I could do is I could store the result in a Boolean. I could say Boolean status is the name of the variable, and I put an equal sign. Anybody has any problem with this so far? What I just did? I know that this whole thing gives me either true or false after it executes. So whatever it executes, I want you to store that in a container called status who can store true or false. I can take this container and put an if statement saying if this is true, then pass it. But if this comes out of a false, then fail it. Okay? And that would be my end of the coding. So I could say if this status is equal to true, then I could say system out or sys sysout, and then say test pass. Okay. If not, which is else, I could say system out test fail. Does it make sense so far? We're doing the same Java stuff, right?
Yes.
This is why we needed that if statement kind of stuff that we learned in Java. So if the status comes out to be true, we are going to go here and then say test pass. If not, we're going to fail the test. And we can even say something like this. Dashboard page did not display. Dashboard page did not display. Your choice. You're the test automation engineer. This is where you want to have your report to somebody else who let's say you automated this, but a manual tester is looking at your report saying, hey, this test failed. And they're going to first look for the message that going to print up why it failed. And they were like, oh, dashboard page did not show. That's the why it failed. So you want to make your messages more readable, more meaningful for your manual testers. Let's debug run this and then see what happens. We're going to debug run it, and I want to put the breakpoint. Suppose we put it right here, a little bit before. We're running it. There's the site opened up. Username, password. It went to this step right here. We do a step over. And it went in. Which one is it? Not this one. You will know it says something like this. Chrome is being controlled by automated test software. And that's the one that's you want to see. So here, page did open. There's that Boolean status. And that status thing is going to show up right after I execute it somewhere here. And it's going to say either it's a true or a false right here as the data value. So let's kick off another, go one more step, run, step over. Come on. There you go. There you go. That status came out to be true. So because this status is true and that equals to true, this is a true statement. Java is going to step right in the door and not going to even look at this anymore. And it's going to print out that. Let's do it and see how it looks. Run it. Notice the green line went in there. It's going to now immediately print out that in the console, so you'll be able to see that right in here as soon as I execute that. So running it again. There. Test passed. That got printed out and we're ready to be done with it. And you can just hit this play button. I think that will just execute the rest of them. Yeah, it executed the rest. And then if you want to print one more thing saying test complete before you quit the driver, sysout test completed. So here, if I run this now, whole thing really quickly, we'll go in. There. First it says test passed, and then it says test completed, and then we're out of it. Where is that JUnit thing? Just disappeared on this side, maybe. JUnit right there. You can click on these menus to bring your JUnit report, and you might see an icon like that. You click on it, it's going to give you that report thing where you see that green, or if it failed, it's going to give you an error. What happens if this fails? I don't want to show you that today because that will be a little bit more code that I need to handle. But what you can do for your test case homework, you can go up to this far where you can validate just by finding one element that has some sort of ID. Just work with ID and name right now. Tomorrow I'll show you how to do expat, and then you can be invincible and be able to find anything, any element. Any question? Now would be a good time.
No, just a little correction. That is not necessary, but say else test failed instead of test passed.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Right. Test failed. Little technical stuff right here. Didn't we say that when we have this if statement, this whole thing is only looking for whether it's going to be true? If this whole thing comes out to be true, then this moves in here. Yes? It's a condition. You can only put a condition in here. If this whole condition becomes a false, then it won't move in here and move into the else section. Agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, then doesn't this word alone does that? Meaning this container already contains something called either true, or if it's not found, it's gonna be false. So I don't really need to say whether true is equal to true or false is equal to true. I can just not have all of that and just have that container in here without all of this logic itself. And that should work. That means I can take this part off. If today this status comes out to be true, then this is true, and then Java is going to move here. If tomorrow dashboard page doesn't display, this status is going to be false. That means this is going to be false, and Java is not going to move here. We'll move here. Understand? Did I throw you off? Let's run this. There's that, oops, website behind. And signed in, closed, came out. Let's take a look at our report. Test complete, test passed, and test complete. While you generate your questions, let me copy this code to you. I'm only going to give you the test method because you're going to create the class. So you can copy paste this in your, if you have trouble working with your framework, just use that. Any questions about this test case? This is one solid test case. How would I submit this? I would not have all of these comments. It's too messy. I would delete this out. I would clean this, my code up. I am not going to put 3 seconds wait. I'm not going to put wait at all if not needed. And take this sleep out. Sometimes you will need the sleep. We'll talk about it next classes and go deeper into the sleep, that you can control the sleep as well. You want your test to be fast. One other thing I want to throw you off at. If this whole thing returns true or false, why do I need to even store it in a container that I will never use later? If I don't use this later, like even down here ever again, I am wasting a line of code right here. I could be taking this whole thing, copy that, and paste it right in here, and not having to need this line of code anymore. Any question there? These are the things really make you the engineer, the minds of an engineer. Okay? You know that this whole thing of all this junk is gonna return is displayed. True or false, that true or false is gonna be lying right there. So when you go in a company, you might see all these codes jumbled up inside one code, one line, and don't panic when you see that. You gotta kind of break yourself up piece by piece and see what's going on. Look at this. I'm gonna run this right now, and this is how I can submit my code to my boss. I'll run it right now, and it's gonna be super fast. Done. There's the test. It's green. How many seconds did it take? 3.1 second. And the company can run this test case daily as the developers are developing something. And your test, this automation, you don't need a human to log in, turn on their computer, You do all of that, they might take a lot of time, and the human makes mistakes. Computer will never do. So you got an awesome test case right here. So I'm going to take this line off, and I'm also going to paste this to you as well. This would be a wonderful submission of code that you want to do in your company. Okay. Okay. Now, if you have any framework related questions, issues, and stuff like that, you can ask me. I am pausing the video.